And we are live. What up, players? Welcome to another episode of Player Life. It is Friday, June 10th, here in Tokyo, Japan. Today, we have a special guest on, Grand Cam, and we're going to chop it up about game in America and game in Japan and just basically international game. So, what is up, man? Good to have you on here.
Mac, it's great to be on your channel. It's an honor. It's a privilege. I'm happy to be connected with you as always, my man. And I was very happy to see that you reached out to me. You want to do a stream again because the last time I remember we had a live stream, you came on my podcast, and that was really fun too, man. We had a pretty like raunchy talk about like our past experiences with with women and everything, and I think it gave a lot of guys like clarity as to like how to be very appealing, how to be sexually attractive to women, and that it's not such a big deal. Like a lot of guys, they don't need to be so confused and be like, "Oh my God, what is this forbidden fruit that I have to deal with or something?" It's just like so easy because guys like
Mm.
us make it very seamless and it like flows so nicely. You know what I mean?
Right. But it wasn't always that way for me personally.
Correct.
But that's why it's I can relate to guys who have troubles with it. But uh,
Oh, likewise for me too, man. I was no like super player 9,000. Nobody is. In fact, King Dre, actually I watched a live with King Dre and Lucario. King Dre says like no one's born a player. Like it's
mm,
either like the conditioning that you had, like where you see life in a different way, or you were one of those guys that like grew up in a conditioning where you saw women in this other, the typical mainstream way, like how both of
mm,
us did. And then we kind of went through this like I want to call it like I don't want to be harsh on us and call us losers, but like we went through a phase where like we were just inexperienced and had
mm.
no idea how to communicate efficiently to women, right? So then we learned, we worked, we practiced, and here we are now helping men, and it's an
Well,
honor to do that too.
right. It's a lot of it's to do with the environment we grow up in, the kind of people we're around, kind of people that influence us. So if you're around a bunch of guys that are smoking weed and playing video
Yeah,
games and kind of maybe skateboarding, nothing against skateboarding, but, but like these kind of putting things that aren't necessarily going to make you so attractive to chicks, I grew up, I was around people smoking, like smoking weed, like drinking, like we were putting all these things ahead of like getting chicks. It
hmm
sounds cool and all, but it's really not. It's like it's fucking lame as fuck. Like when I think I smoked my first weed when I was like 13. I was like,
Damn. Okay,
yeah,
damn. So you did it like pretty early, like teenage year, man. Like the first year of being a teenager, you did it.
yeah. I mean, not saying I was going hard at it from 13, but I remember I had my first experience smoking weed at 13.
Right.
So I mean, and I went to an all male high school, all boys high school. So I mean, and high school in Ireland is like we don't have junior high school and it's all one, so we just call it high school. So from like 12 or 13 until 18, I was just like fucking wasn't really around women at all, because it's my product of my environment. So it's completely understandable that I would have sucked with women when I was all, just the way it was. Um,
hmm
but a lot of guys for different reasons, they just aren't around the right people, or they could have a good advantage. They could, be going to a mixed high school, be getting good opportunities, but just for some reason, just have insecurities about themselves. There's
Correct.
a lot of different pieces of the puzzle you got to put together. Um,
Yes.
you know, just plus teenagers, just as teenage guys, we're just kind of fucked up, insecure about ourselves, and for
Oh
no
yeah.
reason a lot of the time too. It's all
Absolutely.
it's almost like paranoia.
Oh,
It's,
absolutely. Think about it this also, Mac. Like right now, we have trained our brains to like really work on all our insecurities because we coach men. So we got to
yeah,
have like a good foundation for battling our own insecurities because us coaches, we're not immune to insecurities. All the students of Mac, all the students of Grand Cam, you guys are watching this right now. You know that we all have our imperfections, and there are phases like, man, I've been going through some rough shit in the last like month, but I stayed so strong to myself, Mac. In fact, what I did is I would go, even like during workouts, I was kind of like in my head, like, God, I fucking hate what's going on right now with my situation. But then I remember before I went back to my unit, I was working out in my apartment gym, and I remember I looked at the mirror, and there's like mirrors all over the gym. So I look at the mirror and I look at myself, and I was telling myself, like, Cameron, you got this. Don't worry about it. You will
mm,
make it. you invite abundance to your life. You are being rich every day. Women love you, guys respect you, and you are in control of your emotions. So I would literally talk to myself and look at the mirror, and that was so powerful and just put me back in shape. But there are a lot of guys out there that are like, young men, like young boys, I should say, like teenagers, 13, 14, 15. They don't have that mental capacity or the training to think like that. I know that because I want to have children. So when I have children, I know that I'm going to be teaching my son to be talking to himself like that, because I didn't have that kind of shit when I was like 13, 14, 15. I was just being like miserable for like probably like days or weeks. But I wasn't depressed by any means, but I was just, I just wasn't like on my A game all the time. I'd rather be on my A game as much as possible.
Right. Yeah, people, but yeah, positive affirmations. As Danny Arnold says, I mean that's I mean, if you were a teenager and you'd almost get mocked for doing something like that, but it's just like that's just being a teenager,
Yep.
People, it's just but yeah, it would have been helpful. It certainly would be helpful to have some mentors. Like you would be so far ahead if you just even had one good mentor. But most
Facts,
kids at
dude.
that age,
Facts.
there's all kind of mentally mentally fucked up. But
Hmm.
mm. but you tell me about where you're at now. Where you basically you moved recently.
Yeah, man, I was in shithole California, and I'm so happy I'm out of it. Well, particularly I was in shithole LA County because I still have some love for super South California. I like San Diego and Orange County, but I left LA County in December of 2021. At the time, actually, I was in a relationship. My girl and I, this is actually against everything that the RP stands for, everything what dating coaches typically talk about. Now, for me, I was in a very unique situation, and the reason why I call it unique because it's my life. It's not because I followed a scripture or a book or anyone to tell me what I want to do. I took the risk of doing all this because I believed in myself, and I told myself, you know what? I have enough experience of dating. I don't have enough relationship experience, but I have enough dating experience where I know, like, if sour, if things get bad, I can dip out, and I'm not going to be subject to abuse or subject to somehow of like getting wrecked. And so my girl and I, we met on a dating app, and then my ex-girl and I, we met on a dating app, and we were connected. This might shock you, Mac, but we got in a relationship within like a few months. I think it was like 3 months. We got in a relationship. I was seeing other women at the time, but something told me that this girl is just different. I was like, you know what? Let's fucking go for it. And I knew that I wanted to bounce out of California too. So I wanted to have her kind of by my side to come with me, and she was interested because she's one of those like freedom fighters, just like we are. She's like against like the government that's going crazy with all the overreach that's happening in California. So she's like, "Fuck it, I'll come with you too." And I'm like, "Hey, if you're gonna come move to a different state with me, let's just do it together." And we did. We moved to Arizona, and we signed a lease, like a long-term lease. We ended up actually cutting the lease short because we traveled to Mexico, and I was living in Tulum for about, well, I'll say living, but I was staying in Tulum for about 3 weeks, and we broke off our relationship in Mexico, which was in early May. So last month, around this time, actually, we broke up around this time. So what made us break up was just an incompatibility thing. And we ended things as amicably, as maturely as we could. I ended up leaving the Airbnb, and I went to go stay at my own Airbnb. And once Mac, the relationship was done. Okay, a lot of guys, this is actually good for a lot of the guys that are listening to this. After a breakup, guys, they just like they start. I understand there's a grieving period. I did have a grieving period, but it was like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Like I would do like this breath work, spiritual exercise to like get all my trapped emotions out. So yeah, I would have tears and stuff like that. But then I wasn't like, oh my god, I'm horrible for like the rest of the day. I was just like, I'm out of it. I snapped out of it because I'm a very positive person, Mac. So for me, I had that period like a human being would. I had that grieving period, and then I'll go out and do my thing. And the day that I broke up with my girl, bro, Mac, I go on the dating apps, Bumble, Hinge, Tinder. Fucking shit is lit in Mexico. So there's all these sexy Latina girls I'm matching with, Europeans I'm matching with, Americans I'm matching with, Canadians I'm matching with. So I go out with this one Canadian girl. We had a great time. We went to a salsa dancing night. I did my thing. I had a great time. And then the next day, her and another friend, we all had dinner together in Tulum, which is like a beautiful. If anyone hasn't been, the beach area is fucking fantastic. It's pricey, but it's very fun and very beautiful to be around. It's very much like a party area, like Miami or like a Vegas vibe to it. Anyway, we went out and had a good time. And after like a few days of being in Mexico, I was like, you know what? I was originally supposed to stay in Mexico in Tulum for until July. So technically, I could have been still there, still over there. But I was like, I want to go home. I got to go find
Mm.
my new apartment, find my new place. So I moved back, Mac. And while this is all happening, I'm fresh out of a breakup. So mentally, I'm still strong. I'm not like, oh, what's gonna happen now for the next like week? And oh, I'm lonely and stuff. No, I just
Mm.
stay fucking sharp, bro, because I'm a fucking shark, dude. I'm a lion. I go after what I want. I know you do the same thing too, Mac. And
Mm.
that's why your students respect you so much because you fucking go after what you want. You're not afraid of anything. So same with me, bro. We're both fearless. So I went and got myself a new apartment. I had a weird fucked up situation because like I had like a little bit of like a ding on my like credit report for some stupid reason. It has nothing to do with me being able to not pay anything. It's just a stupid ding. And then I had to wait like an extra like 5 days to like got my apartment approved. Finally, it's approved. Now I'm here, and my place is little by little becoming better and better. I'm developing my studio
Mm.
and everything. So I got myself a cozy apartment, man. I got great connections with women. I have great connections with people where I'm at in Arizona. So if anybody is in Arizona that's watching this, please contact me. My Instagram's like right down there. It's the Grand Cam, and I would love to stay in touch with you and connect with you.
Dope, man.
Thank you.
What was it? Personally, I haven't really, I honestly haven't been in a proper relationship in years, and that's purely a choice out of mine. But
Right.
I was just wondering, what was it that made you want to have a relationship, and was it a monogamous relationship? That's sort of
It was purely monogamous. Yeah.
okay. All
Hmm.
right. So what was it that kind of? I know you said you might want to have kids, or you
Hmm.
do want to have kids. Is that like, you're open to the idea of being in a monogamous relationship, like if you find the right girl?
Here's what I'll tell you what I've learned from my relationship. I don't believe automatically I don't believe that I'm automatically destined to be in a monogamous relationship. I don't believe that.
Mm.
I just can't fathom the idea of like being only in a monogamous relationship.
Yeah, that's
However,
crazy.
yeah, here's what I will say. Here's what I will say. For me, the kind of women I'm talking to now, not the kind, but more like how I'm communicating to women. Because before I wasn't really communicating exactly the kind of like future of the relationship I was looking for. Because for me, I want children because I want to carry on my name. I want to carry on my legacy. I want to carry on, like, get it to the next level. I want the Hashemi, because Hashemi is my last name. I want the Hashemi legacy to continue and have like greatness and have empires and stuff like that, and business and life. And they have networking and they have people all around them and stuff, because that's what I would like to attract. Now, what I'm looking for nowadays, well, to answer, let me go to your question first. Like you said, why did we break up? So I'll tell you why I got into the relationship in the first place and why I got into the breakup. First of all, I was physically attracted to my ex. She was peaceful, she was calm, she was very spiritual. So I hadn't been around a woman who's very spiritual because I was dating like some girls at the time. They're a little bit loud and annoying to deal with. So I was just kind of like, I don't see long term. Like they were cooking, they were cleaning, they were doing all things a traditional woman would, which I highly respect. But then when I got to the relationship, I'm like, I can't see it happening. This woman just had something about her that was just peaceful, calming. She was fun to be around. Now, here's the thing. I put her in a relationship with me, not, this is important for all the viewers. I did not do it on a premise foundation of what does it look like if we were to eventually live together? What does it look like if we're going to eventually have kids together? What does it look like if we get married? Now, here's the thing. This is what I mean. On a weekly basis or day-to-day basis, are you being that traditional woman that essentially I was looking for? Meaning, like, do you cook, clean, fold laundry? Do you devote yourself to your man? Do you devote yourself to your boyfriend? Do you eventually devote yourself to your husband, to the father of your children? Because I didn't express, this is my fault. I didn't express I was looking for a traditional woman, even though deep down I wanted that. Now, I think what happened, Mac, there was a combination of me wanting to move out with somebody, like have like a girl to come with me. There was a combination of that, which is an insecurity because it's not like the overarching thing, but definitely that is an insecurity because guys need to go do shit alone. You don't need a girl to come with you do all
Mm,
these things. Like,
definitely not.
exactly. Just be isolated. In fact, being isolated is one of the most powerful skills you can have. Now, I'm not saying be a loner and be a loser, but anyways. So there was a bit of that made me feel like, you know what, I want her to come with me because I don't want to lose the connection with her. Now I could have had a long distance with her, but I was worried like, oh, what if we don't stay in contact because we just started dating each other and it felt great. But the issue was, Mac, that I was blinded by this was I judged her. Well, I looked at her as experiences,
Mm.
experiences, concerts, music shows, bars, dining, traveling, meeting family, that kind of shit. I didn't look at it as like, okay, on a day-to-day functioning level, like how does she take care of her man? So that was the issue. And when I looked at it, and when it was too late, like we moved into our apartment in Arizona, I looked at everything. I was like, oh shit, this girl is not really the kind of like day-to-day woman that will take care of her man, constantly cooking, cleaning, doing these kind of
Or
things. She wasn't that
it was
traditional
dirty.
woman. Say that again.
It was dirty.
Well, I was taking care of the house and she would take care of the stuff, but sometimes the house would just get messy, man. Like I'm not a messy person. Like my place is clean, but like I would just see, and she's clean too, but it was like, I'll clean my stuff, you clean your stuff. And it was
Mm.
such a division, like divisive mentality between the two of us. And the only time it worked out was like, we would go out to eat, we'd go to travel, we'd go do fun things on Groupon, whatever. Like that was it. And that's where it stopped. And we
Mm.
saw a lot of incompatibility on a foundation level. So whoever's watching this, if you're interested in having a future girlfriend, whether it's monogamous or not, you got to have the foundation. You got to have, in my opinion, these are three things I tell my clients. You need the sexual intimacy to be on point. You need to find what your woman is going to be to you. Do you want it to be traditional or do you want it to be like this equal kind of thing, which I disagree with equality, not equality in terms of roles of man and woman, not like equality and equal human rights. So I want a traditional woman. I want intimacy to be good. I want the woman to be traditional. And the third thing is the experiences. And that I think is the last thing. So like how do we fare in traveling together, going out together? Like I like clubs and bars and lounges, and I like doing even low key shit too. But are you a fan of all this stuff? So I only use like our intimacy was great, our experiences were great, but on a day to day level, Mac, not good. So that's
Hmm.
where the relationship failed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different thing. Like you could date someone for years, and it's all you could have all these fun experiences with them. But like, if you can't have the foundational things of getting on, living under the same roof, which is a completely
Mm-hmm.
different experience, because like even the little things could fucking like really annoy you about someone over time. It's kind of like death by a thousand cuts. You know, if it was constantly a little thing, if you're bickering about, oh, you didn't clean this little thing, or you or if they're not willing to clean up some of your things, you know, just not willing to work together, it's like it's never going to work. It's just, and that shit's only will get worse, like I said, death by a thousand cuts. But yeah, actually
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never cohabitated with one of my chicks, so and I don't intend to anytime soon. So, but my whole thing is just living the player lifestyle, and I'm not, you know, I'm just pretty forward about, you know, honest about exactly what I'm about. You know, like I'm not a relationship coach. I'm a like how to get laid coach. That's like, you know, that's my shtick. You know, that's what
Mm-hmm.
I do. You know, so like I don't pretend to know about, you know, exactly what's the best steps to take in a relationship, but you know, I know exactly what to do when it comes to like cold approach and like getting girls from A to Z, you know, from the street to your bed.
Hell yeah, dude. In fact, there's this one I remember when so the first week I got back to Arizona, I remember like right when I touched down Arizona, I just literally like kissed the fucking air. I was like, thank you, I'm back in the States, let's restart, right? And I
Happy again.
remember I remember I did like an Instagram live. I do live streams just randomly on Instagram, and if anybody wants to hop in and get some help, like I do that. So there's this guy that hopped in, and we were talking for about maybe like 45 minutes. Then I'm like, you know what, man, I got to end the call. I'm gonna go grab some food. And I remember I'm just walking back, and there's a bowling alley like on my right side of the plaza, and on my left side is the parking lot, right? So I'm walking right side bowling alley, left side plaza or parking lot, and then I see this chick sitting in her car, and we catch eyes, right? So she's like literally on her phone like this, and she looks up at me, and I look at her, and she looks back down, and she starts smiling, and I was like, oh, okay, okay, I see what's up. So then I'm kind of like at the distance of her car, and I tell her like, I'm like, hey, what's up? And she just like looks at me like this, like smiles, and then she like looks away, and I was like, whatever, she doesn't want to like talk. Then I started walking away. And then I'm like, actually, no, she does want to talk. And why the fuck am I hesitating from this? Like, guys, like coaches make mistakes too sometimes. So like at that point, I was like, dude, no way. I bet you $100 if I turn around and I see this girl looking at me, this girl wants me 100%. So what do? I turn around and there she is looking at me inside her car with the windows up. And I'm like, all right, fuck this. I'm going after this. Like, and I went with aggression, like not in a mean, like, hey, bitch, pull your window down. I like went like aggressive, like a masculine man. And I went up to her car. I'm like, hey, pull the window down. I know you. I saw you smiling at me. Don't be shy. Just pull your window down. She's like, hey, how are you? And the first thing I do is like I pull my arms on her window of her car like this, and I start talking super close. I'm like, what's up? What's your name? How are you doing? And then she's like, said her name. I gave my name, Mac. I pull the girl. Like I tell her, hey, come out of the car really quick because I invited her to come to my Airbnb because I didn't get approved for my lease yet. Hey, why don't you come to my place in my Airbnb? It's only like 5 minutes from here. She's like, oh, I'm busy. I can't. I'm like, okay, no worries. So I said, actually, why don't you come out of the car really quick? She comes out of the car.
So you shot for the Airbnb that quick? You're like, hey, what's up?
Well,
you want to come to my Airbnb? like
no,
that?
no, not immediately. Not immediately. It was about maybe. No, that's important to mention. I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah, that would be like too much. Like it would be too like you don't give it enough. I mean, it's important to be like to be pushing the envelope, but that would be you need to give it a little bit of air to breathe before you. And I'm very savage with it. Like I'm very forward, but I wouldn't like be like, hey, what's up? You want to come to my house?
No, they don't know who you are. You haven't even built any reciprocation. How do you know that girl's even worthy of you to come to your place? How the fuck do you know she's not a psychopath or some weird ass girl?
You want to establish some. You want to like build some sexual tension before you even go.
Correct. There. Absolutely. No, you're 100% right. So thank you for clarifying for the context. So this is maybe about like 5 to 7 minutes, like after I introduce myself to her and we have a conversation. So about like 5 to 7 minutes. And then afterwards, after she denied it, I said, well, why don't you just come out of the car really quick? So she's like, okay. So she gets out of the car and I do that, the typical spin that guys like to do for girls. So I'm like spinning. And then I see her, she's wearing her uniform and she works at the bowling alley right over here. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she does a spin and she has like a fine ass and she has a nice, like, decently good body. And then I just literally like kind of like say, hey, why don't you come over here really quick? And I just like put my hand on her like right shoulder and I just kind of like put her towards the back of the car or towards her back, put her back towards the car. So now she's facing me, her back is hitting the car and we just start making out. Like right there, we just start making out. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, this is like the power of having good communication with women and having fluidity with communication and not thinking like, which is like, about this show, which is why you don't attract women quickly. Because in that moment, Mac, what I did to attract her quickly was I stood on my square. Like I said, I stayed grounded. With my emotions. So I'm not like letting nervousness or anything like fuck up my psyche. I'm staying grounded. I'm staying centered. And I wasn't looking for her approval. I wasn't looking to be validated by her. I wanted to see if she was down to like, I was like, fuck it, let's see if she's down to make out. So we made out. And then we literally keep making out for about another like 15 seconds, like to 30 seconds. And then she's like, look, my work is like literally right there pointing to the bowling alley. She's like, I can't, like there's cameras and everything. I'm like, hey, it's all good. Don't worry. Let your boss see them. If you want, I'll talk to your boss. She's like, no, I can't. I'm like, I'm just joking. It's all good. Take my number down and come to my Airbnb. If you can't come tonight, no worries, but let's just plan it for another day. She said, sure, sounds good. So that right there means that anybody, I know you've done that, Mac, like 50,000 times. So like, I'm not, I know you've done that like a million times. Right? Like I'm sure you have like a bunch of stories that's happened like right off the cuff, right?
Like a lot of guys can't even comprehend how quick, like, I was talking earlier, you don't want to jump too quickly, but you want to be quick. Like I'm talking about, I'm saying when you approach a girl, you don't say like the third thing you say is, hey, do you want to come back to my apartment?
Right.
Like, but that's not to say you shouldn't be quick, like I'm talking like, but you want to like escalate, physically first before you kind of go there, because girls are all about how they're feeling in the moment. So if you like hit a girl with, hey, do you want to come to my apartment? before you've turned her on, like she'll be like, "Fuck no, who the fuck are you?" Like, get the fuck. But like if you've like made
Yeah.
her wet, like if you've physically turned her on, like it's a whole different story, because girls operate completely different. Like men, we walk around like we're mentally horny all the time. We hopefully we're not walking around fucking with boners rocking out, but you know what I mean. Like we're
Right.
a healthy man is like walking around day to day, like physically, mentally turned on. Like we're just like we see a hot girl, we're like we're like attracted to her immediately. Like we're thinking like if you see a girl that's your type, you're thinking sexual thoughts. It's like default. Like that's just the way it is. It can't be helped, and it should be that way. But women don't operate that way. Like they literally they're not thinking sexually like us. Like you know, um. So that's why it's so important to like be calibrated and take it to a point like of physical escalation before you start trying to get them to the point of coming back to your place, or you know because it's going to make it so much smoother if they're turned on. Like if they're turned on to you, like it's just the chances of success are just so much higher, because guys can't believe, guys that have never done something like that, they're so skeptical about like the possibility of it. They have no idea that that's like it's not only possible, but it's like it's ideal. It's I know guy like I mean I've been one of them, but and I still do it regularly. But there's guy like if you live in a certain location, like if your location is good enough, like I'm talking downtown, like in a popular area shopping district, like I know guys that like get their primarily get their almost all of their lays from same day lays, like street game, picking them up, like taking girls back in the moment, escalating with them. One of my favorite ways to escalate with chicks is just it's so simple and it doesn't even seem that sexual, but it's just like through touch of hand. You know, if you're talking to a chick and you're not trying to like hold her hand, what the fuck are you even doing? Like, I mean, you're it's like how are you expecting to escalate if you're not gonna like touch their hand? Like, so I always like when I meet a girl, when I cold approach a girl, you always have to like at least the bare minimum is try and like start touching their hand. And it's very powerful. Like it's very powerful, like because you're setting the tone like immediately. And it's kind of like almost amazing how much like sexual energy you can transfer just through like holding her hand, or kind of lightly kind of massaging her hand, like and like kind of this part, like just kind of massaging this part of her hand, like oh man, they love it, and they know you're gonna like that is telling the girl that you're gonna they know you're gonna be good in bed. Like they just instinctively know this guy fucking knows, like he knows how to hold my hand. This fucking guy, like he's turning me on just through my hand, he's gonna be really good in bed, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Because here's the thing. Here's their barometer of determining, I think, like how well a guy can attract them or how well he's going to be in bed. Because obviously, the number one thing is how do they feel when they're around you, right? That's the number one thing. Anything else, like if they don't have that, nothing else prevails. Like you can't, no matter how hard you try, if they don't feel good about your connection, they could be like, oh yeah, I can tell this guy probably fucks a bunch of girls. But the thing is that I don't see, I'm not connected to him. Like I cannot see myself opening myself to him and being vulnerable to him, right? So at that point, like, and we've all been rejected. Like they can tell, like, hey, look, I can tell, like, you get a lot of girls, but I'm just not interested in you. And I'll say, okay, whatever, right? And you will carry on as well. You're like, all right, whatever, carry on to the next chick. So what women need is like they need to make sure that you feel attracted to that. Well, they feel attracted to you, but also the things that their barometer of success of like knowing where you stand on the scale of attraction is they have guys who pursue them and take days, weeks, months to get on a first date with them. And then they'll give them all this unnecessary attention, which, all of us, we talk about how to avoid those kind of things. And we help clients get over that so they can just be like guys like us who can just pull women much more quickly, which hence the title of the show. So women, they feel like, wait, if this guy's attracting me that quickly, then he's probably going to be really good in bed. So I think it has to do with those things as well. And another thing you said, which I had to point out, Mac, you said like obviously we're not walking around with like, we're healthy individuals who have like, high T levels and stuff like that, and we don't walk around with like boners like every part of our day. But guess what? Even though we don't walk around with boners throughout our day, we still, because we're healthy individuals, and we also can attract women on our communication skills and our mindset, which are the two most important things over LMS, which all these guys on the manosphere talk about. All you need is really the mindset, and you need a communication skills, and that sets you apart so much. And just off that, bro, girls can feel that big dick energy that they call you. Like, I'm sure you've been called that before. I don't know if in Japan that's a famous phrase or anything like that, but in America, like, girls can feel that. They're like, I could feel the energy coming from you. It's very attractive. So they even know just off that, like, that guy smashes a lot of girls just off that energy feel that they get,
It's like a complete lack of inhibition. You're just so confident, like, about your sexual desire. Like, you're so like comfortable with it. Like, you don't have any inhibitions when it comes to sex. Like, and girls can feel that off you. And I think girls can feel the opposite as well. When they know this guy is like frigid, he's like stiff, he's awkward. They're just like, this guy's gonna suck in bed, and they might not even be thinking this. They might not even be thinking like that. They might not even be thinking, oh, literally that this guy's gonna suck in bed. But at an innate level, that's what they're thinking. They're thinking this guy is probably gonna suck in bed. You might not even be able to get an erection. Like, because it's just like, as a guy, you just have to let go and just fucking like just be yourself. And it's not like, I don't even like using that phrase, like, be yourself, because men are made.
Yeah, neither do I. Because being yourself, you can be still a loser while you're being yourself.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can still be at a very bad level.
It's not so much be yourself, but like follow your desires. That's what I really wanted to say.
I like that. That's a good one. That's a good way. It's more in line with like my thinking as well, because follow your desires. Like, if you feel like what you said was appropriate, but she got it the wrong way, she took it the wrong way, talk to your coach, talk to Mac the Day Gamer, talk to Grand Cam, talk to us, and then we will tell you, okay, you know what, she's right there. Or, bro, trust me, like, she just wasn't feeling you. Don't worry about it. What you said was congruent. It was calibrated. Maybe what we can do is change the way you speak a little bit about it and how you say it. So you say with more conviction, but overall, like what you said, and at the timing of what you said, it was fine. As coaches, we approve, for example.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just to reiterate on that, like, as men, we don't even have the luxury of being ourselves. Like, we can't just be ourselves, and just like, women actually have that luxury far more than men do. I mean, there's things that women have to do. I mean, as they can't eat like slobs. They have to do a little bit of makeup, dress well. But in general, like, comparing to a man, it's like on a completely different level. Like, they can be themselves so much more than men can. If a man is just himself, like, if he just is, he's gonna be a fucking loser. He's gonna be a fucking weak little fat slob. Like,
Yep. Yeah, we're destined to grow, man. Sorry, you were gonna say something?
No, I'm just saying, it's like men have to come under pressure to become strong. We have to, like, if there's no resistance in your life, you're just gonna be weak. Like, you're just gonna be weak, and you're not gonna be very, you're gonna have terrible foundations.
Absolutely, Mac. There's something I was thinking of, which was, I was having table service for one of my friend's birthday parties this past Friday, and there's this area of Arizona called Old Town, which is based in Scottsdale. And Scottsdale is like it's a hotspot for all like young singles or middle-aged people, and mostly young people from like 21 to 35, I would say. And while I was there, I was having a drink, and I'm just thinking about it because I want to help my clients as much as I can. And one of the things that just like made me realize, I said, you know what? Us guys, like, I see guys standing around and not being masculine and not being aggressive about going after what they want. So I'm thinking about it, like, I look at women the same way as as my financial success and my career success. If I'm just standing around jerking around doing nothing, nothing's going to come to me, right? I mean, yes, you randomly can have opportunities fall in your lap, but I rather go after the opportunities I want. And plus, what I'm doing is I'm energetically creating more opportunities to come to me because I go after what I want. So the universe sends that reciprocation in return. So I was thinking about it. I'm like having my drink, and I'm just looking at all these guys that are not approaching women. And I'm thinking to
Mm.
myself, well, these men are not even being authentic to themselves because I know they want to talk to girls. I know they want to go approach and say something, but they're thinking, what's the best thing I can say to make sure she doesn't reject me? Which is then putting the girl on a pedestal, which is then not being in his masculine frame, which is also being feminine because he's so concerned about what others think about him.
Exactly. You're being feminine because
Yeah.
that's what females are thinking. That's what females are worried about. Females are worried about rejection. As a man, we understand that rejection is a possibility, but we don't give a fuck. Um, I just want to ask you, like, I just, I just bring up the point of IOIs, indicators of interest, and
Mhm.
I don't know what you think about them, but I don't give a single flying fuck about indicators of interest. I mean, by all means, if you get indicators of interest from a hot girl, you're even more likely to approach. But for me, I mean, indicators of interest don't matter to me because like most of the girls that I actually end up, approaching and getting with haven't even seen me coming. They might be looking at their phone, they're doing this, that, and the other. They might even see me and not, but I think they're hot, so I want to talk to them. They might give zero indicator of interest. And sometimes I'll not only sometimes, a lot of the time I'll end up like approaching them, establishing, escalating with them and having sex with them. And I got zero indicator of interest from them. I mean, just yesterday, the girl said that to me. She literally said these words. I brought her back to my, like, it was from about a month ago. I met her in a bar, and she
Mhm.
said to me yesterday. I finally banged yesterday, and she said to me yesterday. She said, "I wouldn't have even seen you if you didn't approach me." And I was like, I mean, I
Mm.
didn't take it as an insult because I understand. I don't give a fuck. These girls are in their own little world, and it's not something that I take offense to, but it's just like she was like, I wouldn't have seen you, and I was like, I bet you're glad I did approach you, and she was like, yeah, yeah, but no, but dude, it's hilarious, like it's fucking hilarious, like these girls just like you got to put yourself in front of them, and then when you do put yourself in front of them, you become way more attractive to them, because most guys are too pussy to do it,
And
they're
here's something that is even I think is going to blow the mind of some of the audience members is this like you see I don't even think about Mac. I agree 100% about your IOI comments right now. You're saying I don't give a fuck about IOI. If we got it, perfect. It does build, it helps your use case a little bit more, but that doesn't guarantee a close. It just means hey, you got my attention. Come up to me. Let's see what you got. Right. That's what the
mm,
girl is thinking, right? And you're going up like, all right, now that I got your attention, and now that I see you, let's see if you're worthy to be on a date with me, or even to be worthy of my presence, right? Look at it this way, okay? Us guys, we like to live limitless.
mm.
IOI is a limit. So those guys who are like, "Oh, I just want to look for IOIs," well, then you're living limit. You're living with limits, my friend.
Oh man, it's a terrible, terrible strategy. Fuck, man,
Yeah,
I would get laid so fucking rarely if I waited for IOIs. I mean, I'm
yeah.
sure I would laid sometimes, but seriously, I mean, it's nice to get IOIs. It's a boost to your ego, but they don't mean fuck all. And a lot of the time, even I would go as far as to say sometimes girls use IOIs just to get a little bit of attention and maybe impress their friends. It's like
Yeah, that's true. It does
it's
happen.
like,
Yeah.
especially if they're in groups, especially if they're in
Oh
groups.
yeah.
Like if you're
Oh yeah.
walking, sometimes I'm walking around. I would go as far as to say, like, out of the girls that give me IOIs, sometimes like it doesn't even work out with those girls because it's like, especially in a certain situation, maybe there's three girls walking down the street and then one of them gives me mad IOIs. She's like, smiling at me, and then she turns around, she waves at me, like really direct, like flirtation. It's fun, but then I'd roll up to her, talk to her, maybe get her number, but it wouldn't work out. What really was happening in that situation was she might have thought I was attractive, but she was just kind of trying to like show off to her friends that she's like, oh, she can attract like these guys, but I'm just saying that that can happen, but I wouldn't overthink it too much. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm not going to approach her because she's just doing this. I'm just trying to point out how IOIs aren't that important. Like, you know what I
Right,
mean?
because it's a limit. It's literally a
Yeah.
limit. Looking for choosing signals is a limit. That's all it is. And that's why I have like this thing in the manosphere where a lot of guys are like, oh, I just look for choosing signals. I'm like, my friend, if you're only looking for choosing signals, then you're looking for limitations. I like to live my life limitless. And you know what? Also, and here's the thing. So if a guy tells me that I'm only looking for choosing signals or I only look for IOIs, well, guess what? Your chances of like I would ask him, like, do you one day envision yourself attracting women right off the bat where you could even make out with her literally in a mall, in a parking lot, like just out of nowhere? Like you build some rapport with her. Do you envision yourself doing that? And the guy says, sure, I envision myself doing that. I said, well, bro, that's a lot of time a limit that guys think they can never even achieve. So
Right.
everyone has this like specific limitations they have, but how about living fucking limitless? Like Mac
Mm.
the Day Gamer does. He lives limitless. I live limitless. I believe in all opportunities and I believe in the good energy. So if I see a woman is not giving that kind of reciprocate, like I have a lot of hot girls that live in my building. So I was at the gym. I had to go pick up some mail from Amazon, and I walked past like these two girls that were wearing really nice bikinis, and I like stopped in front of them, like, and they were like laying tanning and everything, and I said, "Hey, what's up? Like, how are you guys doing?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm good and good," and I didn't feel like the energy that they wanted me to stick around. So I was
Mm.
like, it's okay. What's your names, by the way? I'm new to the community. So I introduced myself. They gave me their names. I'm like, all right, well, you guys have a good one. Cool.
Right.
I established.
Calibration. That's
Yeah,
calibration right there. Like,
yeah,
it's when you understand the energy, you're able to read the air basically. And then you're able to close, you're not close, but you're able to leave the encounter without seeming like a butthurt creep either. You introduce yourself,
exactly.
have a nice day. You weren't like, oh, just kind of, you know what I mean? It's calibration. It's like you're understanding, okay, I'm not really welcome here. These chicks aren't really, the vibe isn't there. And you just kind of,
Exactly.
you roll out, with dignity and with your, with respect.
Yeah, we're not going
Um,
out there like talking shit to anybody or anything like that. Like if I've been rejected, I was in fact rejected like so many times at the club from last Friday. But there was this like Russian chick that was in our table that we had. She was part of a meetup group. So we were making out, and then there's this one blonde girl. Even after she saw me making out with the Russian girl, this girl was not like the most attractive girl in the world, but she was just kind of like, hey, like like giving me the finger, like come over here and stuff. And I was like, I'm busy. But then I saw her and I'm like, hey, I saw you give me the finger to come over here. Like, what's up? How are you doing? And she was like talking to me, and then she said something so unattractive, Mac, that turned me off immediately. And I was like, look, I don't even think you're that physically attractive, so I'm not even gonna like go for it. And not only that, you said some dumbass fucking shit, some goofy ass shit. I'm not going to entertain that. But I said it respectfully. I'm like, you know what? Hey, it's not working out between us. I appreciate the kindness coming from you and stuff, but that comment you said really turned me off, and I'm not attracted to this. So let's just end the conversation, and we'll still have fun. Like we still be cool, but like I'm gonna go do my own thing now. And she's like, okay. She's like, all right. But she was shocked. She's like, really? What did I say? It wasn't that bad. I'm like, no. For me, that was considered a disrespect, especially since I first met you and I'm first talking to you. That's not going to work with me.
you don't want to say
It
what
won't
it
work with
was?
me.
What did the bitch say?
Yeah, yeah, and she said some dumbass goofy shit. I don't remember exactly because I was like really drunk, so I don't really remember the whole thing. But I took it very like I didn't take it well, and I was like, nope,
Mm,
cut it off
yeah,
immediately.
yeah. Personally, if a chick annoys me or turns me off, I'll just kind of like, I won't even bother telling her. I'll just be like, I'll
You
just
can
kind of
walk
go off.
away.
Yeah, I'll just like bounce onto some
Yeah.
other. You'll get the idea pretty soon. Um, but since we're talking about timing, what do you think like about guys that spend way too fucking long on dates, like like going from venue to venue, spend like being way too cautious about making moves, and like basically guys that are just too afraid to try and close, or you know because I personally, I think it's fucking terrible, and a lot of guys do it. A lot of guys spend way too long on dates, and they could have. There a lot of time they could be actually shooting themselves in the foot, and like the girls can get frustrated and annoyed by guys that don't know how to close. So, what's your
hmm
take on that?
Yeah, great question. So I think it really depends. Like I have clients that are extremely inexperienced, and I have clients that are experienced. So I think it's different. Like my coaching is going to be a little bit different here. So for the client that is very inexperienced, like either he's a virgin or has only like fucked like a couple of chicks. Thank you, Danny Arnold, for the comment. I appreciate that. It says I like Grand Cam's attitude. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Um, for me, if I have, I'll give you two cases very inexperienced and somewhat experienced, like has like some lays under his belt. For the very inexperienced guy, Mac, I will tell him, set up the date the way you think you should set up the date, right? Now, I will give him some guidance too. Now, I have a client who set up a date that's like 2 hours from where he lives because he's not in the most ideal area. He's about like 2 hours away from like the area of like the major city that he's staying at. But he had a plan where he was going to do lunch with the girl, and then he was going to get ice cream with the girl, and then he was going to go to the beach. And both him and her are far from their homes. Like they're each of them are like an hour, at least an hour away from their homes. So I told him, I'm like, dude, you didn't really set yourself up for success here. I said, but what I want you to do is slightly change the date a little bit and go meet in her area because she's like a foreign exchange student. So she's not, I told him, don't make this girl drive very far through this traffic of this major city. Like, don't make her go through all this traffic because she's going to be annoyed. Energetically, she's going to be feeling off. She's not going to feel as horny to come see you now because like she went through traffic. She's angry. Like, just make it easier for her in this case because you dropped the ball by planning how you planned it with her. So he's like, okay. So I said, listen, go for the experience. Go there, have fun, enjoy the time with her. And if it doesn't turn out the way you want to turn out, that's okay. Now you have something. You have something you can base your decisions now going forward. Because if I tell Mac, you and me tell a bunch of inexperienced guys who like are virgins or like have one or two lays under their belt, and the last time they had sex was like 3 years ago or something like that. If we tell them, all right, guys, your dates should be only about an hour long, or it should be about an hour and a half. By about 45-minute mark, kind of around there, you should be making out with your girl. It's not a hard black and white answer, but around that point, you could start like, making out with her, making a move on her. At the hour mark, you can take her back to your house. They're not going to understand. They can't fathom that. It's not in their brain capacity to think, oh, in an hour I can do that. So these guys, that's why they take so long because they don't have the experience. But you and me, we can make out with girls immediately right off the bat, with calibration and, consent from from them and us, right? So, for guys who now we can go to the guys who are somewhat experienced. For the guys who are somewhat experienced, they have, let's say, I don't know, I'm just making up a number. Like at least they've smashed like 15 to 20 women. They have a better idea of how many dates, like how many failed dates they have, how many successful dates they have. So if we tell them, okay, so guys, what you're going to do is like pick one location, pick it by your house, and then bring the girl back to your place, or in fact, invite her over to your place immediately. They have experience to look back at. So they're like, they reflect. They're like, oh, I remember I one time had that date where I did way too many things. I tried far too hard under the premise of looking for validation, trying to be accepted by her. So I do all these fancy, dancy, schmancy things to impress her. And then by the time it gets to like, hey, come back to my place, she's like, oh, I'm tired. I got to go home. And then I got this tournament I got to go to tomorrow. And then my mom needs me to feed her cat and all that shit. So then you're like, fuck. But for the guys who are, excuse me, for the guys who are inexperienced, they can't fathom it. For the guys who are experienced, like, bro, when I was like getting coaching, when you were coaching me, man, when I was part of like the program, a body language mastery, when you guys started talking, it clicked. It wasn't like, wow, really? Like I didn't debate you guys. I wasn't skeptical of you guys. I was more curious, and I'm like, how does Mac do it that fast? Or how does this coach do it this fast? And then I was like, oh, you know what? In my energy and how I carry myself, I can for sure fucking do this. Now I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but fuck, dude, like I picked up so fast, and that's why I got a lot of students from the RP community. Now I'm a coach. I help guys with this. And I have students from the RP community that tell me like, dude, Cam, your change is so fast. Like you grew fast in like less than a year or in a year. And Mac, I tell them it's because, well, I'm a curious guy. I want to learn. I want to grow. I don't have time to jerk off and wait around and fucking wait for results to come to me. That's why I live limitless. Just like the whole thing about being limitless. And that's my whole take on it. What's your opinion on that?
No, yeah, it's true. I mean, it's like, just guys, they go on dates and they just don't realize what's possible. They go on dates and they think, I think the biggest problem is they don't have an idea of how they're going to close. Like they're just happy. If you're very inexperienced with chicks, you go on dates and you're not really sure about how where it's going to end up. They're just kind of going with the flow, and you can't really just go with the flow as a guy. I mean, you kind of got to set a plan, like, and once you have a setup, you have an apartment, and you just follow the same process over and over. It sounds very mechanical, but it's like really there's a system to it. Like there really is a rough like outline of how you get from like A to Z. Like it's, and you just follow it again. And once it works, you just keep following it. It's not that it's going to work every time. Of course not. There's some girls that just aren't going to be down. Like
Correct.
some girls might go from A to G. You know, some girls like it's not that every girl is going to go from A to Z, as in from the cold approach to your bed. Like it's not, they're not all going to, you know, follow the same steps, but like, you know, ideally you want to be getting, you know, from A to Z with as many girls as possible, right? But you know, it's so you just follow the same, you just got to have a rough idea of exactly what you're going to do on the date, you know. And it's really not complicated. Like a lot of guys think they're going to have to do something very fancy, very, like, you know, impressive. No, fuck no. Like if a girl is on a date with you, she probably thinks you're just attractive or cool. Like, you know, it's that simple. Like, you know, it's one of those things. She thinks you're interesting, attractive, or cool. That's why she's on a date with you. So she's not like looking to be like wined and dined unless she's one of these, a certain type of girl, you know?
Yeah.
And there are certain girls that want to be wined and dined and all that shit, but, and they're you have to play them differently, you know? There's a very good, just for anyone, just came to my mind. Everyone should read The Difficulty of Dating Girls by Age Bracket, Chateau Artiste. It's, I think if you Google The Difficulty of Dating Girls by Age Bracket, it's a good outline of because for each different age group, you know, the young, like 18 to 22, you know, 22 to 28, you know, 28 to 35, it's slight, the game is slightly different, so you got to understand where the girl is at, right? And the fucking hilarious thing is, in my experience, and I have a lot of experience, the easiest girls to lay are the hot fucking 18 to 22-year-olds. Like, it's just a different game. They're the ones that'll, like, if they find you attractive, they like your vibe, they're gonna fuck with no games, you know? It's the 22. It's when girls start playing these fucking games, it's when they realize they're fucking SMV. They fully understand it. Like, they fully are aware of what they can get from men. And they start playing these games when they're like, you know, when they start hitting their stride at, you know, 22, 21, 22. Depends on how intelligent the girl is as well, to be honest. Some girls will get it, if they're smart and they're socially adjusted, they'll get it a lot sooner than other girls. Like, some girls will be fully aware of their SMV when they're 19. You know, they'll be full, and they'll just be fucking. These are the kind of girls that go for the sugar daddies and all that shit. And they kind of they fucking try and milk their fucking SMV to the max. But, you know, I'm kind of ranting on it. But, you know, it's just, the thing is, the main thing I want to convey is that guys got to, like, be, you know, understand that you got to go for it. You set up the date, you know, go through the process, you know, go on whether it's a drink, a coffee, whatever it is, you know, build up some rapport. Ideally, you want to be sitting beside them so you can be, you know, touch their leg. You know, you don't want to be sitting. The worst thing you can do on a date is when you're sitting like across from them and it's like an interview.
Yeah, interview style.
Them at all. And some of these tables are big too, and the bigger
the
worse it is. The worse it is. So, like, if you're sitting across from, and the table's kind of quite wide, it's a horrible vibe. Like, it's going to be hard to, like, kind of. So one little quick tip I want to say is, like, if you want to, like, you know, if you want to make it less awkward, sometimes you can originally sit across from each other. Then you can go to the toilet and say, hey, you know, and then just sit, you know, say it's something like, oh, you know, it seems like an interview. I just want to sit beside you, and then go around and sit beside them. So you're kind of gradually escalating, you know, rather than going right, sitting beside them right off the bat, you know. But the thing is, like, a lot of guys just spend way too long. For me, I spend, like, it depends on the girl, because the more calibrated you become, the more you can understand, like, how soon can I, like, you know, close with this girl. Some girls, you just get the vibe. It's not, you're gonna have to spend a little longer, you know. But generally, I would say between 30 minutes and an hour, and an hour 15 minutes, I would be trying to take them out from the venue and bring them back to my place.
I agree. That's a good That's a good, like, rule of thumb to have. It's about 30 minutes to. I'll say an hour and a half is still. An hour and a half is a little. I know we could do so much sooner, but I think for the guys who are not at our level yet, I would say 30 minutes to an hour and a half is a good, like, good stretch. Anything after an hour and a half, way too long. Get the hell out of there and just say, either call the date off or like take her to a nice, like get her out of the establishment they originally had. Either go to a nice scenic overlook where there's like, you know, a nice freeway to look at, or like, you know, like stars or some trees or some shit, or like water fountains, and just start making out with her there if you can't take her back to her place if she doesn't want to go. You can
I
do
always
that.
remember ones that got away when I was less experienced back in the day. When I remember, so because some girls will actually punish you for not being able to make a move. Because believe it or not, guys, like there's girls that go on dates like completely open minded to having sex. You know, I don't think a lot of girls go on dates like completely intentional on having sex, although some do. But girls definitely go on dates open minded to the idea of having sex. And if they kind of like you and they, you know, some girls will want to have sex. And if you're too slow to do it, like, or some girls will have time restraints as well. You know, they might have to go to work later or they might have another meeting later. So if you're like too slow to it, you know, some guys could spend like two. I had a friend of mine back in Ireland who spent 5 hours on a date. Like, I was like, I had to sit him down and I was like, dude, like, and then he was asking me like why, you know, what went wrong, and I was like, dude, you spent fucking 5 hours on a date, like you exhausted the whole. It's like a fucking cryptograph. It's like you peaked like at around 2 hours, and then it just went fucking down. You just spent like extra 3 fucking hours, and she was probably
Luna.
pissed
It was
off
it was
with
a
you.
Luna situation. Luna just like it's going
Yeah,
well and
yeah.
then
It's probably like you should have been like taking her home at the hour and a half mark, and like, and then you peak when you're at your place, and then you fuck her, and it's amazing, and then she goes, you know. But you totally fucked up. You just missed the fucking opportunity to take profit. You're trying to,
That's a good analogy. You know what's really funny is like I remember there's this one chick I told her to meet me for ice cream. This is back when I was living in LA. Told her to meet me for ice cream. We were probably eating, we didn't even finish our ice cream. We were probably talking for like 15 minutes. And then I'm like, all right, let's just go back to my place. You know you want to come. She's like, well, what makes you think I want to come over? I'm like, come on, let's go. I know you want to come over. She's like, okay. And I just knew because I just could tell. I'm like, listen, stop fucking around. You know you want to come back with me. She's like, okay, let's just go. You know, with
yeah.
a little hesitation, not to look like the, you know, quote unquote slut. And I'm like, come on, you know you want to come with me. Let's not bullshit. We already been talking. I've been talking sexually to you. You're reciprocating. Let's just go back. And she's like, okay. Can you highlight Danny's comment really quick? The last thing he said.
All right. So you want to
So,
read it out?
yeah. Do you want to read it? Go ahead.
Okay. I had this girl recently turned 31 telling me she wants a man to take her on a for real, legitimate date. None of this going half stuff. I thought to myself, you're 31, chick, hell no. Okay, well, you
So
know,
I like to make a comment on that. Now, here's the thing. Here, I fundamentally, guys, like you know, for everyone, this full disclosure. I don't really associate like I used to be in the RP community. I don't really associate with RP as much. I still have respect I have respect for Mac. I have respect for some other coaches as well that I like their message. I like what they stand for and how they make guys become limitless, right? Now, here's the thing. Danny, first of all, thank you again for your comments. I appreciate all your input and everyone in the chat, Joey, everybody, know your worth. Thank you for everything. Um, Here's the thing I want to explain something to you, Danny. When you're saying that, I thought to myself, you're 31, chick, hell no. I want you to get age out of the equation. And this is why I say get age out of the equation. Because what if a girl was 21 and she told you that? She's like, I want dinner. I want you to take me on a real legitimate date. What are you going to say then? Oh, you're 21 and you should be going out and having fun based on what a book tells you to do or based on what charts tell you to do or anything like that. See, I look at it as more like this. Like, is she cooperating? Is she being submissive to the kind of woman I'm looking for? So on dating apps or in general with women I meet, I will ask them, are you traditional women? And traditional women are devoting themselves to their man, whether it's casually seeing them, or it's monogamous, or if it's a relationship where you're going out and doing your thing and she's staying monogamous to you. So I don't look at it as like whether the girl's 45, 56, 21, 32, it doesn't matter to me at all. All I care about are the three things. Are we sexually connected with one another? Like, do we have that physical intimacy? Number two, is she being open to the experiences of how I'm leading it, right? So so this is like the date is part of the experimental part, like going experiences like concerts, raves, shows, comedy shows. Like I put dates in that same category as well. So if she's satisfied, I don't know the sex part yet, right? Because we haven't had intimacy. So if I go into the cooperation part, is she cooperating with me? It doesn't matter her fucking age, because I hook up with single mothers, and I think single mothers are as good as they are with like mothers are 21. All that matters is, am I physically attracted to them? So we can have the possibility of good physical intimacy. And is she cooperative and submissive? And if she has those things, then I know that being with her is not going to be a headache. So it doesn't matter whether she's 31, 45, or whatever your age preference is. All that matters is she following your mentality. That's all I give a shit about. So I don't care if the girl is like 28, 21, if she's, realizing, I know, like, again, like guys like talk about the SMV charts and stuff, but I personally don't pay attention to it. But I know guys have it, and I respect the guys who go for it. That's your message. That's your thing. But for me, I just care about energetically. Are we connected to each other?
Right.
Is she flowing with me? Is she into being submissive to me? Because I know we're going to have great sex if she's down to be submissive on a non-sexual level. Fuck yeah. On a sexual level, submissiveness is going to be off the charts.
I will say this. I will say, like, okay, so my take on it is, okay, like, it just boils down to how attracted to her are you? Like, what are you? But I will say, for me personally, I mentioned earlier that you guys should read the difficulty of dating girls by age bracket, and this is very relevant to what Danny is talking about here.
Correct.
Like, the reality is, the thing is, like, by the time a girl is 31, she's had all these different experiences.
Correct.
So what's going, like, definitely read the difficulty of dating girls by age brackets, because when a girl gets to 31, she probably has had quite a bit of dick. But this is why you have to play girls differently at this age. There is a difference, because they're kind of at the stage where they want to have proper dates. And it's not that they're necessarily trying to rip you off. It's just that that's the point that they're at in their life. And yes, they might have given it up. They probably definitely have given up sex to other guys without them having without those guys having to take them on proper official dates. But that's just the game you have to play. So it's a different game you got to play. So when I'm taking the hot 20-year-old out on a date, it's a different game to me taking a hot 30-year-old out on a date. I have to be calibrated to each. It is a different game. There is a different game, and it's like, do you want to have sex or not? Well, if you do want to have sex with both girls, the 20-year-old and the 30-year-old, you're going to have to play it slightly differently. You might have to, it's hilarious, but you might actually have to take the 30-year-old out on a date and game her and do this and that and the other. And I'm not saying you're going to have to jump over all these hurdles, and I'm not saying you should be following her. She says, take us to this like fancy steak restaurant. No, never do that. Don't be like, that's the worst thing you could do. That's the worst thing you could ever do, is let a girl decide, like, try and call the shots. But if she says, I want to go out on a date, you can compromise slightly and take her on a date, but never ever under any circumstances allow a girl to fully call the shots, as in, like, oh, I want to go to this like fancy ass like French restaurant. Go fuck yourself. Get the fuck out of here, bitch. Like, no. Like, never allow. You're just gonna get ripped off. She'll take you for a ride. But there is a way to play it. Absolutely, there is a way to play all these different chicks. Like, and you gotta understand where these chicks are at in their life.
Yeah.
To be able to get them into bed, and that's the goal.
That's probably the most important thing that your whole thing was good. I like hearing it. I think that's the one that stood out for me the most, where you said where they're at in their life. Because like me, I do public speaking, and I was in public speaking like courses and stuff like that. I was president of my club for my chapter. So the youngest girl I smashed in like recent time has been a 19-year-old. And the 19-year-old, I'm not going to talk to the 19-year-old the same way I'm going to talk to a 31-year-old, for example. I'm still going to go about it like my principles are still the same. Are you submissive? Are you energetically connected to me? And are you following the leadership that I'm providing? So that never goes away, whether she's 45, 21, 19, it doesn't matter. But my communication style is going to be a bit different. Like, what I may do for a date might be a bit different. But at the end of the day, I see girls the same age, from anything from like 18 and above. Like, I'll invite, like, I like MILFs, I like older women, and I like women that stay in shape and they're attractive to me, right? So whatever age she's at, I also invite them over to my place. Or I might say, you know what? I feel like grabbing ice cream with this girl. I don't feel like the connection's as good to go into my house first. So why don't we just grab ice cream, which is next to my apartment complex? We have ice cream. We talk for about 30 minutes, and then I invite her back to my place and we have a drink. So I think it really depends, like case by case. Like I think it really depends on the girl's trauma from the past, like how many shitty dating experiences she had. Because a 21-year-old can go through a lot of shitty dating experiences. But then there are 28-year-olds who have gone through a lot of great dates, and they have come to my house within instantly. I've had 31, like my ex-girlfriend came over to my place and she's 30 years old and I was 30 years old. She came over to my place the first date. So I think it just, again, really depends on like her submissiveness. What's her trauma from the past of like what she's dealt with, like being in the dating scene and being a single woman. Who's like the last guy that took care of her or like dated her? Was he treating her right? Did he fuck her up for the next guy, which was me or for Mac or whoever it is, right? So I think it really depends on a variety of factors, but definitely like getting an understanding of like how women in general, like what I see the merit in this. Like I see the merit of like why knowing how a 21-year-old operates is different how a 30-year-old operates. I see the merit in that. For me, just importantly for my message is guys, I don't want guys to put so much stock in that because that's like another form of limitation. Because I'm not saying what you're saying, Mac, is a form of limitation. I just feel like guys who get too hard pressed on it, they start limiting themselves and then become one of those guys, Mac, that are like, oh, I'm only for IOIs.
It's not black or white. You gotta be, that comes down to calibration, understanding that things are not, it's not an exact science. Like there's, situations can vary drastically from one case to the other. But yeah, man, I think we're gone over the hour here, so yes. I know you gotta go somewhere. So no, it's been a cool talk, man.
Yeah. Thank you to Danny for the comment too, saying she was rather argumentative and feminist competitive. Yeah, you don't want to deal with any of those chicks. That's part of why she's a turnoff. But I like your advice, Green Cam. I'll heed your words, brother. Thank you, appreciate it, man. Thank you to everybody who's on the chat. Thank you for having me, Mac.
Awesome, man. We must do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
But where can guys find you?
Thank you for asking, man. So my Instagram is right down below. It's the Grand Cam. There you go. It's the Grand Cam. I have the website, my website, which is it's called thegrandmail.com, which is my brand, The Grand Mail. Instagram is the best way to reach me. I have like a couple things coming out. I have an online course on June 19th called Your Journey to Greatness, which is working with me and 2 other coaches. We're talking about cryptocurrency. We're also going to be talking about lifestyle, mindset, and dating advice. It's all available on my link tree. If you click on the link, you can do that. I also have a summer retreat that's coming out, Mac. I don't know if you're going to fly ever to America, but I'm having a summer retreat where I'm inviting coaches to come be part of this. So I got some guys from the RP community that are coming. I got some guys who are non-RP that are coming, and it's going to be a retreat from Friday to Tuesday, and we're staying at an Airbnb. I'm taking care of the coaches a little bit differently, but we're going to be having that, and it's going to be just literally 4 days of coaching on dating, spirituality, mindset, getting over like the insecurities, like the retreat that we're having, guys, is going to be mindset shifts. So this is not like a 2-day Tony Robbins, no disrespect to him, but Tony Robbins seminar where we're just like, oh, I feel so good, but then you come home, you're like, oh, I'm at the same fucking stage of my life. So this is my dream, guys. Like I'm living my dream as a dating coach, as a mindset coach, as a lifestyle coach. I quit my family business working for them. I was making 6 figures. I was like, I had job security, I had a 401k retirement fund. I left all of that to pursue this and to make this a full-time thing so I can do streams with Mac the Day Gamer often. I can do streams with all kinds of dating coaches and get guys to help them out and get to the next level. So again, just contact me on Instagram. That's the best way to get in contact with me. We could do a free consultation if you're interested in to get any of the courses that I'm offering. So again, thank you guys. Mac, thank you so much for inviting me to your show. It was an honor, brother. Thank you for the conversation.
Dope, man. All right, guys. Sweet. We're going to leave it there then. And today's Friday. I'll be back on Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until then, guys, have a good weekend. Peace out. Bye-bye.
Peace.